My tools are taking a beating. With all the mining, digging, and chopping I've been doing in this world, I need a quick way to repair them. I have the witch farm, but it's over 4,000 blocks away from my base, and to be honest, it's too slow for XP. It's better suited for farming redstone. I've also got a cave spider farm, but again, it's kinda janky and slow. It never really worked properly. The skeleton farm is okay, but it's not super useful after 850 days in this world. Trading with villagers is a decent option, but trading away all of my iron for emeralds and then buying other items from librarians, farmers, and clerics is a bit tedious, and I always run out of emeralds. So, I'm finally going to build a farm that I've never built in my 10 plus years of playing Minecraft, an Enderman Farm. Now, I can already hear the comments flying in. Why not build this farm or that farm? There are much easier ways to get XP. Just make a new pickaxe. Just make a silverfish farm, blah, blah, blah. And to that, I say, yeah, you're probably right. But if I'm going to build my first Enderman farm, it's going to be an Enderman farm because this is hardcore. I'm going to surround the farm with a massive Gothic Tower, a crazy storm cloud at the top, and along the way, we'll build a bit of lore into why it's here. This build is going to be over 208 blocks tall, contains over 90,000 blocks, and over half of them are glass, so I think I've got my work cut out for me. Before I can place a single block though, I need to raid some end cities for more shulker boxes to store all the materials in. Let's go. While I'm out here harvesting shulker shells, let's break down the plan. I need sand, and a lot of it. The tower and the ominous cloud with the spell circle above it contains over 45,000 blocks of different colored glass. There's no way I'm going to torture myself by digging it all by hand. So I'm going to build a sand duper to save my sanity. There are a lot of different blocks that are dyed black within this build. I need a lot of ink sacks to craft them all. I'm going to take some of the sand from the duper, drain a river, and build a super simple squid and a glow squid farm to take care of that. I need some lighting blocks, and I could use glowstone, but I think froglights would look much cleaner. I'm going to have to modify the magma cube farm from episode 3 by removing the powdered snow, finding frogs, and breeding them to get all 3 types into the farm. Since I have over 45,000 blocks of glass to collect and only a handful of furnaces at my base, I'm going to need something a little more robust for this job. I'm going to build a 64 furnace super smelter to make light work of smelting the glass I need. The main structure contains over 22,000 nether brick variants from blocks, stairs, slabs, walls, and fences. It's really going to test my sanity gathering all these blocks. I haven't come up with a solid plan yet for gathering them, but just know it's going to be a lot of work. Now that I have more than enough shulker boxes gathered and a few extra tools and elytra, let's head back to base and get this plan into motion. The first thing I need to do is gather up some redstone bits, red mushrooms, and necessary building blocks for the duper and storage, and then I'll head out to a nearby stronghold. I've located the portal room, and I'm setting up a nether portal so I can get back and forth to the base quickly. Let's head to the nether. Oh my god, I should have known that the portal would appear over a lava ocean given the overworld location. I'm just going to build a little platform, take this portal down, and build it on the roof. Maybe if I decide to build a proper nether hub in the future, I can move it back down. I'm going to build the collection for the duper first. Since they changed how items appear on the platform, I'll use hopper minecarts to collect everything. The collection uses lava to break the minecarts and drops the items into the water stream, then sends the carts back to collect more. It's a really slick design by Illyrio3. Link in the description below. Now that I have the collection and storage sorted out, I can build the actual duper. I'm just clearing out the room to give myself some more space. Along the way, I found a couple of large caves and a few more diamonds. Let's go. Since updating the world to 121.5, I found that red mushrooms no longer break the portal frame blocks. It turns out you have to break them with TNT and pistons now, just like bedrock. I've got my netherite gear on and a totem in hand. Wish me luck. Well, that wasn't nearly as difficult as I thought it would be, and I didn't blow myself up, so I consider that a win. Now I can build the actual Duper. It's a very compact design and only uses 3 gravity blocks on each side instead of the typical designs that use 6. Now I'll just add a simple ender pearl chunk loader and we can head back over to the end to turn on the collection system. Alright, it's working and we're collecting loads of sand. According to the video, it should produce over 100,000 sand per hour. I'm going to sit here for a bit and gather up some sand for the next big step in the plan. The next step in this plan is to build a Squid Ink Farm for ink sacs. I'm going to need over a shulker box of ink sacs, and I'm not going to spend an eternity flying around killing squids one at a time. I've got 4 shulkers of sand collected, so let's fly to a desert and find a suitable spot for the farm. I've got this spot over here in the desert with a large section of river where I can put the farm. I'll need to drain all of the water within a 128 block radius so the squid spawns will only occur in the farm. No time to waste, let's get to placing some sand. Draining a river is nowhere near as time consuming and difficult as an ocean monument, but it will take me a couple of hours to complete. Time to put on some tunes and get going. I need to place walls 5 blocks apart throughout the river to make it easier to drain, so I'm using a little redstone contraption to place the sand in rows to make the process a little quicker. After dividing everything up, I can start placing sponges and get rid of all the water. Alright, I have the river divided up now to make it easier to drain all the water. I've also placed a schematic behind me so I know roughly where the farm will be located. It's going to need to go down a little bit further once the water is drained. I just realized I don't have any sponges to do the job. I'm going to head back to base, grab a few essentials, and then we go on a little side quest to find some ocean monuments. And hopefully I can find the sponges I need. I've seen a few guardian temples during my travels to the south of spawn, so let's head in that general direction. I've gathered a few items that will help make this snatch and grab a little bit easier. I tend to go into this a little differently than most people. What I like to do is fly over the temple, switch to my chest armor, and dive in. That way I can blow holes into the temple to get to the Elder Guardians quicker. I don't typically use potions unless I have to. All I really need is a couple buckets of milk to get rid of mining fatigue, and I'm good to go. I've located the first temple. Let's head in and see if we can find some sponges. First, let's blow a hole in the 3 spots where the Elder Guardians live, then I can easily take them out. With easy access to the Elder Guardians, we can drop in and make quick work of them. I'll start with the one at the top first. Got that one, and 1 sponge. Let's take out the next one. This is going pretty smooth so far. There aren't a lot of guardians around to distract me from my task. The second Elder Guardian has been dispatched onto the third. Okay, this one's giving me a little more trouble with the additional bodyguards around. Nice, this one dropped the tight armor trim as well. Now that I have the Elder Guardians taken care of, I can clear the mining fatigue and look for the sponge rooms. Alright, I've located the sponge room. I'll just gather these up and then I can take a look around and see what else I can find. Would you look at that, a second sponge room. We hit the mother lode today. I've gathered up the sponges from the second room and now I'll just steal all the gold blocks and we can try to locate another temple and more sponges. I managed to grab just over 90 sponges after hitting 3 ocean monuments and also got the tied armor trim. Not too bad. Time to put these suckers to work and get rid of all this water. Now that the water is drained, I need to mine out the area a little bit more for the farm. After I get this working, I'm also going to make a glow squid farm while I'm at it. The farm is a pretty simple one, just water sources with magma blocks below that kill the squid, and then minecarts pick up the drops and place them in the chest. Pretty easy. Now that the farm is built, we'll go up to the AFK spot and see how it works. I've been up here for about 30 minutes now, and we've got the big goose egg, no drops at all. Let me check a few things out really quick just to make sure it's all set up correctly. I know that we're in a river biome, so that's good. I've got the water sources where they need to be, Y59 or lower. Back at the top and still no spawns. What the hell is going on? I built a similar farm on the Nitwit SMP, and it's almost identical setup. Time to GTS and see what's going on. I managed to find a comment on a tutorial for the similar farm, and I think this is the issue. I left the chunks loaded at the stronghold for the sand duper, and it's in the middle of the ocean. Let's go check it out. Sure enough, that's the issue. Every squid is loading over here. It took long enough to solve the issue, but at least I managed to get it sorted. Let's get rid of this ender pearl and head back. Back up at the AFK spot, and we're now getting squid spawns. I'm just going to AFK long enough to get the ink sacks we need for the project. I now have a full shulker of ink sacks, and I've also gone ahead and dug out more area below the squid farm and built a glow ink farm as well. The great thing is that squid and glow squid don't share the same mob spawning rules, so I get both types of ink at the same time. We now have 2 items checked off our to-do list. On to the next task. As I mentioned earlier for lighting up the build, I don't want to use glowstone or torches because they don't fit the look I'm going for. I think using froglights will blend in a lot better. Thankfully, I've already built a fully functional magma cube farm in episode 3, so half the work is already done. Unfortunately, the other half of the work requires getting 3 different frog types. I'll just head over to the witch farm and see if there are any frogs nearby. Excellent, I've got one here, there's gotta be another one close by. Alright, that's 2. I'll put these 2 on leads and see if I can find any more around. I did manage to find a couple more frogs close by, so I've got the 4 temperate types I need for the farm. Just gotta grab some slime balls so we can breed them and get enough tadpoles for the other 2 frog types. I've got the tadpoles in buckets, time to get the cold biome frogs first. I've got a snowy plains biome close by, so I can take some of the tadpoles over there to get the green, cold frogs. I just need to place them in water and wait.
1 eternity later.
I've got 2 of the frog types now that I need, just need to get the white, warm frogs. The magma cube farm is close to the desert where I built the squid farm, so I'll just take the tadpoles there, let them grow into frogs, and then take them back to the nether roof. I've emptied all the powdered snow out of the bottom of the farm and put the frogs into place. I'm just putting in a quick storage for everything using cart eaters to speed up the collection of drops. This farm produces a lot of items, so hopefully it's enough to keep up. After just around 30 minutes, I've got stacks of froglights now for the build and even a bit more magma cream. On to the next phase of the project. Well, this is fun. I just came back to my base to get started on the next phase of the project, and I'm greeted with a zombie horde. I'm quickly approaching 1,000 days in the world, and things are starting to get a little hairy. These hordes are happening more and more frequently now. Let me get rid of these guys and we can get rolling on to the next phase of the project. I have all the sand I need to smelt into glass, and it would be a nightmare to use a basic smelter setup to craft 45,000 glass blocks, so I'm going to build something just a little more efficient. This super smelter by Shady J contains 64 furnaces and will certainly speed up the process. I know it's not the brightest idea building this in the open, but I'll have to make it pretty another day. Now that the super smelter is built, I need fuel for it. You're supposed to use charcoal or coal to run the furnaces, but I'm going to fill them up with lava buckets instead. I know it's not ideal, but I don't have the 380 plus stacks of coal to fill them all up. There are a few large lava pools beneath the base where I can gather all the lava buckets I need. Let's load it up and AFK for a bit while the sand cooks into glass. After quite a while, all of the glass is collected. I still need to get it all dyed to the proper colors, but that's gonna have to wait a bit. I've made it to day 1000 in hardcore, and standing here as the sun comes up, yeah, this is pretty cool. I often wondered if I'd make it this far, but I did it. There's no time to waste standing around though, I've got a lot more work to do. A majority of the dye colors that I need will be pretty easy to get: red, orange, yellow, pink, and magenta. Fortunately, I have this little area in the back of my house where I've got the 2 tall flowers, and I can quickly modify it to farm each type. I'll just need to modify it a bit to add in some dispensers, bone meal, and storage below the flowers. By farming just these 4 flower types, I can get 5 dyes right away: red, yellow, orange, pink, and magenta. I also need to get my hands on purple and blue dyes, which means it's time to build yet another farm. Yippee! I'm off to find a flower forest, and I think there's one close by the Mushroom Islands to the south near the Guardian Temples. I specifically need cornflowers for the blue dye, so I want to build the flower farm in a flat area where they appear. On the map I can see some blue dots, so let's try there first. I'm not really liking this spot, it's a little bit too much work to flatten this out, but over here there's a much higher concentration of the blue cornflowers, so let's build it right here. This farm is actually a modified version of a nether fungus farm. I just changed out the nether blocks for grass and it works just fine. After a bit of work, the farm will be set up and ready to test. There we go, infinite cornflowers and blue dye. I only need a few stacks of flowers for the build, so it's time to head back to base and start crafting everything. I'm back at the base now and I can start dyeing all of the glass and crafting the other materials so we can transport everything to the end. I've got a lot of nether brick to gather for this build, and when I say a lot, I mean over 22,000 blocks. I've been to a nether fortress that's in a basalt delta, and there's not much I can do with it, so I'm going to gather as much nether brick as I can from there. Along the way, hopefully a few wither skelly skulls as an added bonus. Fortunately, there are a lot of blocks that make up the bridges and crossings, so I can get most of the blocks from there. I've gathered 7 of the 13 shulker boxes I need, and torn down most of this fortress. And I also got 2 wither skeleton skulls. I think I need a change of scenery now. I'm going to drop these boxes off and head deeper into the nether and gather netherrack instead. Why would I do that, you ask? Well, I need about 4,000 netherrack for the build too, and if I'm mining at Y15, I can also get more ancient debris. I've been down here for a while now and managed to get over 30 pieces of ancient debris, and I've also got all of the netherrack I need for bricks and blocks. Time to head back to the overworld and drop it into the smelter. I've got a little auto crafting setup running while the smelter runs. I just set up 5 crafters with 4 slots open and observer clocks on the back. I can just drop in stacks of bricks and it will spit out the blocks into the shulker boxes. Pretty easy and gives me time to move on to another task. With everything crafted and all the blocks brought over to the end, I'll get started bridging out to where the farm will be built. Then I'll get everything moved over so I don't have to use a ton of rockets to go back and forth to the main end island. I'll just make a little platform out of leaves so it's easy to remove later on, and Enderman won't spawn. Let's get to building. I've got a few layers built up now, and I'm at the landing spot for the farm. This is where I will land when coming over from the main island, and the bottom of the farm will be here. I'm not going to build the farm yet until the very end. I want to try to minimize the amount of Endermen spawning here while I'm building, which is also why I'm placing torches along the way. As I get higher up the build, I'm starting to get closer to the detailed sections. There are a lot of arches, decorative elements, and a set of windows. The windows are made with yellow, orange, and red glass and have froglights below the glass to hopefully get a cool gradient effect, and will be surrounded with concrete on the inside to block the light from the spawning platform. I'm getting close to halfway to the top of the tower now. The next section is going to require some serious parkour skills to reach everything. I've designed a custom rosette window to go on each side of the tower with the same glass effect I used below. As I've been building the structure, I kept thinking about the design. A Gothic Tower rooted in nether brick and other nether blocks, rising out of the void like it didn't belong here. But maybe it doesn't. Somewhere along the way, I started to piece together a story behind it. What if it's not just a tower, but a remnant of something ancient, a failed ritual binding the structure in this dimension? And the only way to keep it rooted in the end is to trap the Endermen and harvest their energy. Now that I've finished the top layer of the main structure, it's time to put in a floor and some additional decorative elements. Then I'm going to add another small structure on top of that. This is the actual top of the tower, but there's more above. It's time to tower up about 30 to 40 blocks and build the statement piece of this massive structure. I'm going to build a spell circle to add more to the lore of the building, along with a colored cloud formation that makes it look like the spell is opening up a portal to another dimension. Remember all that glass? This is where it finally comes into play. I now have all 45,000 pieces of glass placed, and I've also added over 800 end rods to add a little more dimension to the clouds. I'll just add in a layer of black carpet on the top layer and some more froglights to finish it up. Now that I've got this crazy tower completed, it's finally time to complete the part of the building this is all centered on, the Enderman Farm. When I was designing the farm, I really wanted to build a void floor under the farm platform for this build to give it something extra to make it really over the top. I came up with a really cool design, but unfortunately it made the farm very unsafe because the Enderman would teleport to the glass. With the bridge, it's already a little dangerous, so I decided it would be better to leave out the floor. Maybe I can find somewhere else to use it in the future. Alright, I've got the spawn platform built now, and I've lit it up to keep the Enderman from spawning and making the process a little easier. Let's get a platform built up to put the Endermite in place, name it, and clear out the dirt blocks and lights. Let's name this little guy Kevin. Why? I have no clue. This is what happens to your brain after countless hours of placing blocks. You tend to go a little crazy. Now for the final piece, a beacon that will shine its beam into the spell circle to complete the lore behind this structure. The beacon beam makes it look like there's some type of occult power keeping the spell cast and the structure rooted in the end. That's it, the farm is done. Let's see if it works now. The farm is working well, but it looks like there are a few spots that I need spawn proof still. I'll get those taken care of, and while I do that, take a look at this thing. Almost 300 in-game days from start to finish, 90,000 blocks placed, one massive Gothic structure holding the Enderman Farm, and soon, thousands of Endermen dropping millions of XP. All of this just to fix a pickaxe.